All right, I'll put a piece here. We create God with the brain. There is no God per se, as such. Okay, so without the brain, no God. Believing God actually started over 20,000 years ago by primitive men eating hallucinogenic material, mushrooms and different things that they didn't know, and they saw this affected the brain. Later on in Egypt, about 6,000 or so years ago, and all the cultures throughout the world start creating religion by activating God and other delusions by ingesting mushrooms, entheogens. And then, of course, that was the drugs. And then they didn't know about copulation and the sex and the biology of sex, so therefore penis was sacred, the cave of creation was sacred, the lady's vagina, and all these organs of reproduction were sacred. Give it sacred orgasm.
There we go.
Contained within the British Museum is an ancient papyrus which shows how the Egyptians believed their gods performed sexual acts to create the world.
Yep.
It's a rare piece of evidence which reveals that sex formed a magical and mystical aspect
there
to
we go.
In ancient
Are we getting at the root of everything?
In one way, the Egyptians are very different from us. They are very discreet about human sexual activity. But when it comes to the gods, the iconography to us seems just to be simply pornographic.
Yeah.
To represent how self-sustaining and fertile the earth is, the ancient Egyptians show the autofellatio of the earth god Geb.
It's not something we would consider putting in a religious context, still less burying
it is. That's
as a
where religion
religious
comes from.
document with a priestess of the main god of the time.
The men in the Turin erotic papyrus are all exceptionally endowed, like the god Geb. Rather than mere mortals, could these men and their sexual acts be a depiction of gods in the afterlife?
This was probably not a shocking image to the Egyptians, though. It's something that just showed the power of Osiris through his phallus, and it was very important to show these two on a different level than, say, the rest of the divinities or even the rest of the population at large.
For some visitors, the site attracts women to the temples who are in search of the magic of the gods.
The phallus has been either chipped out, it's been touched, guardians come in, people come in and want to touch it and can be part of this power. Even today, people go into temples and want to be part of this fertility that can even make
Christians did the same thing in churches.
Coded symbols
in the
and graphic
Renaissance
depictions were not just a way to be reborn into the afterlife.
Peter was
They were
always sacred.
linked to fertility in everyday life and the act of sex itself.
Anything in this program about that?
Young girls servicing aging men while high on drugs.
It's the images of scantily clad young ladies involved in the
sacraments.
sexual
They
acts.
use sacraments in temples.
Depicted is a lotus flower. Now clearly they aren't wearing these lotus flowers, but the lotus flowers are symbols, and what we learn from seeing these lotus flowers is that these young women are under the influence of the narcotic that could be extracted from the lotus flower.
Historical facts of sacred sex are everywhere if one knows how to look. But Christ-Psychosis have suppressed it, consider it a sin. The retards, but we know that. Nazis also spoke of the essence of the seed emitted by the supreme God, which generates all things. This mystery has been revealed by the Egyptians, who had erected a phallus in front of every temple. The letter element recalls it to, so forth. So this is reality. And the truth is that 5,000 years ago, in the Egyptian religion, the world was created by an act of masturbation, out of fellatio also. The milk that created the whole world from the semen. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know biology. They were the gods. They didn't know what orgasm was. I mean, like you're feeling an orgasm. Ah, this feels so good. The God did it. So that's what happens. Today we know that it's a really good sex. But and the ladies' breast milk was it was white liquid, and they know that it was good for life. So everything was equated with the penis and the vagina and the cave of snakes and the cave of creation and all this bunch of stuff. Nothing pornographic, just this is the way the people thought, and they were all in the stars and they were all sacred. So sex was sacred. The way you hold the penis, the God was like this, and you worship like this, and this is fact. It's an Egyptian hieroglyph, 4,000 years old, and they don't lie. They are right there. And you'll see the picture here. But then also an interesting thing about it is like the Catholic Church copied this. When you this is sacred. You know, when you urinate, you know, you created tool, your magic wand, your creation tool. Which it was not just something that you use for urinating, like an organ. No, you hold it because it was sacred. You hold it like this. In this fashion, you know, you hold it like this. But anyway, when in the moment that you're blessing and those stuff like that, you put your hand like this, and you do this. That's where the Catholic Church got it from. It's amazing, but it's a fact, because everything was sacred. Sex was sacred. So actually, when you go like this and you bless somebody, you're holding your penis, your creative tool, and then you bless people. I bless you. It's a fact. So now you know what people do in church when they go like this. Ignorance, the retarded Christ-Psychotics, they don't realize that they want to go to church. And they go like this, and they have the hands like that. They're waiting for the dicks and the semen to come over and bless them in their head. They go like this, they're sucking dick. I mean, that's a fact. If they kneel down and they go like this, they're revering the phallus and the penis, the creator God, which I call penis Christ. So it's funny to see these people kneeling down in church. And the Arabs, the same thing. The Islamic people, when they fall down like that, they want to get screwed. They're waiting for the semen, for the orgasm to come in, but they don't realize that because the meaning has been lost through the ages because they're so stupid, don't do research, and don't see the Egyptian hieroglyphs of where everything comes from. God doesn't exist. And believing in God today is a mental illness. Somebody says, Jesus love you? Jesus Christ love you? I said, of course, penis Christ love good asses and also good caves of creation. They create sacred orgasm, the great gift. Well, in Roman times, this is the way it used to be phallic worship. You have your patera, you have your entheogens, and then you kneel down, you cover your head like this. That's the reason you have in churches, everybody covers their heads. And then you put your hands, you kneel down, you fall on your knees, and then you go like this. You clasp your hands like that, like they do in all the Catholic churches and the priests. And you go like this and you worship the God. Worship the spirit of life, and you go like this. That's what Christianity comes from. That's where they got their perverted ideas and sadomasochism from. That's a reality. We have the problems today. If the Christ-Psychotics and deists don't believe me and change the subject when they post on my videos, here, lump it, retards. You can see it in all the museums. What I'm telling is absolute fact. Christianity started pedophilia and that crap with sin and masochism, all that is due to Christianity. Racism against blacks and against people, all Christianity. And here is the main symbol of blessing that was adopted from the Catholic Church, the creator of Christianity, into the blessing symbol today.
For much of its history, it's been kept under lock and key. The previous curator at the Egyptian Museum in Turin placed a table in front of the artifact so that no one could stare deep into its surface.
Yeah, Christian retard. That's the reason.
We have been afforded unique access to film the papyrus. Historian Bethany Hughes has been fascinated by this artifact and is intrigued to see the object.
Christianity has done a lot of damage.
It is a shocking revelation for her.
The sacraments used in all religious ceremonies are nothing but drugs. You can see it here, the opium baths on the stuff of these goddesses. And here they are, Datura and Amanita muscaria and all these drugs. They adorn the temples. Here is the menorah and the other symbols and the flowers on the Ark of Titus with him going to heaven in an eagle. And here on a church, the Vatican also copy because everything is copied. Everything I show in my videos are backed up by evidence and facts. Neurology tells us we create the mind with our brains. Organized religion began over 5,000 years ago by the ingestion of entheogens, psychotropic substances. Today in this 21st century, people that believe in God, educated people that believe in God, are retarded and ought to go and get their brains repaired.
Pace di oro.